Hi guys, Ape here of the PocketBot Collective. And today we're gonna have a look at the final set to review of the UniqueToys Palm Collection. And this is set number 4 of 5. We already reviewed the other 4 sets, so we're kind of doing this out of order. But this is set 4, and this is No Minds and Unhappy, as they named them. But of course we know them as Apeface and Highbrow. Autobot Headmaster, Decepticon, Headmaster, Horrorcon, Triple Changer. Great set. Apeface being my favorite of the set. Which my nickname might have given away already. But yeah, quick look at what they come with, and there's not a lot to show you actually, except for the box and the instructions, because everything else is already integrated into their alt modes. But we'll get into that in a minute. Just to get it out of the way, here are the instructions. Highbrow is really easy. Apeface, also easy, but because he's a triple changer, there's a lot of shifting things around. So you might need to get used to it in the beginning. As far as the box goes, pretty cool little box. Set number 4, like I said, No Minds and Unhappy. Not much else actually on the box. And of course some product shots on the back. Although I have to say these look like unfinished products, because if you compare them, you can see that on the box the cockpits aren't translucent, and of course in the finished product they are. And especially on Highbrow you can see that there's a lot of parts just still in the sort of grayish plastic, where on the finished product it is colored in sort of a gunmetal gray. Also the details and stuff like that. Another thing to note about the box, the last 2 sets, so set 4 and set 5, which is Snapdragon and Cerebros, look way different from the first 3 sets in the Palm collection. But they are definitely all part of the same range. We had numbers 1, 2, 3 done in this style, and numbers 4 and 5 done in this simpler style, I guess. But nonetheless, all these figures are great. Now, let's bring them back in. Like I said, they do come with accessories, but everything is integrated into their alt modes. We shall have a look at Highbrow first. It's a very cool looking Cybertronian chopper, I guess. Craft, at least. These spin freely. His 2 handheld weapons are integrated here, just pegged in. He has some visible robot syndrome in the sense that you can spot his hands there and you can guess that these are his legs. But it is all done very nicely, especially in this scale. And of course he comes with a Headmaster, who is also the pilot of his alt mode. And he is just set in there. We will have a look at him in a minute. There you go. Besides these moving parts, there's not much articulation to the alt mode. Don't think you need it either. There's a small landing gear here. But overall, a very nice looking vehicle. Then for Apeface, well, I don't know what to say about his jet mode. Apeface has always had a bit of a weird jet mode. you got a few options here, because I like to put these, which is technically his robot feet, just flush, and use his blades, because these are 2 little blades he can hold, use them as the wings. But I think on the box and in the instructions they have them in different positions. You can also just angle them back or up, whatever you like. I just like to put them like that, kind of flush. You can see his monkey hands there. Not much to do about that. Handheld weapon is stored under the nose cone, and for him as well, his little Headmaster is piloting the jet mode. I have to say, on Apeface, jet mode is the weakest mode. But yeah, I don't know how much else you can do with this in this scale. Compared to Snapdragon, I think all his modes work well. For Apeface, the jet mode is definitely the weakest link. But it's not bad. It's just a weird Cybertronian jet. So there we go. Alright. Let's have a quick look at their Headmasters first, and then we'll get into transformation. There's Apeface Headmaster and Highbrow's Headmaster. There you go. Bit of paint, bit of colored plastic. Just that standard double hinge that we're used to by now for the articulation. Which means you can sit him down like that. Sit him down like... Oh, sorry. Sit him down like that. Sit him down with... Oh, not bent knees on this guy. Or you can just fold it in half and then you have his ape head. Very nicely sculpted. Or on the other side, his robot head. Also nicely sculpted. As for Highbrow, there we go. Also very nicely done. Nice little details on there. Same articulation, except he can also sit like this. With his knees bent, so to say. And obviously, because he's not a triple changer, he hasn't got a head on this side, but he does have his robot head on that side. To do some quick comparisons, because you might say, yeah, why are the arms molded in? That is because these guys are actually really tiny. There we go. Let me get these guys out of the way. Oh, the camera still won't focus on them. That's okay. We'll bring in some other Headmasters. Here is... Come on, buddy. This is YM04's little Headmaster. Technically Vecma Studios. They knocked off a bunch of these guys. Funnily enough, they didn't knock off Apeface and Snapdragon so far. I don't know if that's still going to come in the future, but they did knock off all the Autobots. And the Weird Wolf, Skullcruncher, and Mindwipe as well. But that's their size. Then here's a standard Hasbro Titan's Return Headmaster. And just to complete the list, here is a G1 Headmaster. Quite the difference. and that might explain why these little Headmasters have very limited articulation. Alright, let's get them out of the picture and get into transformation. We will start off with Highbrow, because we only have to go to robot mode. So let's do that. And there you have him, Highbrow in his robot mode. Fun transformation, easy to do, logical, cleans up well. No gaps really. One could argue whether the landing gear shouldn't have been in blue as well, so it blends in a bit more, but at least this way you have a little bit of contrast. Head doesn't do much, locked in place. Nowadays you would aim for at least a head swivel, but these guys are a couple of years old already, so it's fine. Shoulder is ball jointed. Biceps can move due to transformation, but the wings get a little bit in the way. Elbow is also ball jointed, nothing on the wrists. Waist swivel, well, technically he has a pelvis swivel. And if you break transformation, you can get an ab crunch. But yeah, that leaves a big gap at the back. Ball jointed hips, get you the full range. Sorry, everything's getting a bit in the way. There we go, all the way out as well. And knees are also ball jointed, so you get about a 90-degree bend, but you can also move the lower legs in all directions. And he has a ankle rocker. That is Highbrow. Some nice yellow accents here on the shoulders, by the way. And as with all the other figures, he has his tech specs built in. Said it before, say it again. They don't do anything when you store the head or not. That was what happened, was integrated with the G1 figures. This guy doesn't have that, but at least he has his tech specs. So that is cool. We'll do some size comparisons, but first we will transform Apeface. So let's get Highbrow to the side and bring back Apeface. And there we have Apeface in his ape mode. Very clever transformation in my opinion. Looks great. Has a bit of a backpack. And obviously he has the robot head hiding on the back. But there's not much you can do about that in this scale. Love how certain features come through. Like the translucent on the arms. That little chest panel that flips up. Or out and up, so to say. Love the monkey feet. Very nicely done. And actually to get the robot mode, we're going to reverse things because the ape arms become the robot feet. The ape feet will become the robot hands, and the head transports all the way to the other side. But we'll see that in a minute. As far as integration goes, you can store his gun on his forearm if you would want to. Obviously, you can also hold it in his hands, but not very logical for an ape, in my opinion. But it's something you can do. The knives he can obviously also hold, or you can store them on the back here, if you so desire. You've got some options, at least. Posability, ball jointed shoulders, cut at the biceps, although fairly tight, hinged elbows, and the hands are locked in with a ball joint, so you can move them around and put them down like an ape would use them. Due to transformation, he does have a torso swivel, although the nose cone of the plane gets a little bit in the way. Ball jointed hips for the ape, ball jointed knees, and hinged feet. So you got a lot of range of motion. And he has rotation at the head. There we go. Now let's get him into robot mode, shall we? And there you have it for robot mode. Very clever transformation on this guy. Love how the robot mode turns out. Like I said, he's reverse of the monkey mode. Does still have that little backpack, just the other way around now. Still has the waist swivel and has a reverse ab crunch now. Of course, all the joints are still the same, just reversed. Lots of motion. Also can bend the knees outward, so to say. But they also have the regular hinge. Toe tilt because his toes are on ball joints. And yeah, I forgot to say in the Headmaster comparison that Apeface's head, actually swivels. So instead of building in a swivel mechanism in the body, they've made sure that the little head can turn, thus giving him extra articulation. There we go. If you don't want to use the knives in his hands, you can also just store them on the side of his leg, so you don't lose anything. And he as well has his tech readout right there in his chest. Very cool little figure. Now, we said we do some size comparisons. Who to start with? Well, I've got a lot of Decepticons set here on the side, so I guess we'll start with Apeface. And let's see if we can gather some bots around him. Here is our standard Iron Factory figure, a runabout. We shall also do Hasbro's Core Class Soundwave. I've got a few more. Hold on. Let me take Runabout out of the equation and put Magic Square's drag strip next to him. Then we can also put DX9's Galvatron there. And a New Age Seeker. In this case, Action Master Thundercracker. That's how he scales. Let me just move the camera slightly. There we go. And then we shall swap him out for Highbrow for the same comparisons. And there you go. Awesome scaling, in my opinion. Let me get Thundercracker out of there and bring back Runabout. This is what I like to see in my Legend class collection. Is it also for you? Don't know. Maybe you want to go for the upscaled versions by Vecma Studios, aka McFans Toys. Just be aware that those versions are about times 1.5 of these guys. So they're really upscaled. For me, that doesn't work. For you, maybe that's the way to go. Regardless of company, these are great little figures. So, let's get these guys out of the way for our final thoughts. No Minds and Unhappy are a great set in my opinion. For me, it was mainly about Apeface, but I'm happy that Highbrow also turned out that well. So it's a definite recommend for me. Actually, the entire series by UniqueToys is a definite recommend for me. The Palm collection is great, especially if you also like the DX9 Warren Pocket line. These guys are all ace, fun, simple transformations. They all look good in alt modes and in robot modes, or their third modes for some of them. So yeah, definite recommend for me. Let me know what you think. Have you got them? Are you thinking of picking them up? Especially these last two sets, numbers 4 and 5, I think are still readily available at on eBay and with various other sellers. So shouldn't be a problem to pick them up at the release of this video. Alright guys, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you next time. Ape out.